Hello, this is Arielle from Inconspicuous Bear, and I'll be narrating the heroic version of the Il'gynoth encounter in Emerald Nightmare from a Guardian point of view. I'll be honest, Il'gynoth is a hilariously boring encounter from a tank perspective. There's basically nothing going on. You only ever tank 3 things total. They all die well before you need to be doing any other tanking of any kind, which generally means you spend a large portion of the encounter doing effectively nothing, which is really boring. But that being said, it is pretty useful it is pretty complex from a raid coordination perspective, and you can contribute in that area through certain talents and artifact traits. So it's not a complete loss, but it's definitely not the best thing ever, I guess, if I was going to characterize it. You start off by tanking something called a Dominator Tentacle. This tentacle is pretty meaningless most of the time. It's really trivial, not real, doesn't really hurt, and is barely worth noticing. There are 2 of them in the encounter each time you do the first phase. If you have insane damage, you'll never do the first phase once, so you only get 1 Dominator Tentacle. But otherwise, the only thing you have to worry about is this thing called Nightmarish Fury. Basically, it's makes it attack really fast and hit really hard, and it causes the damage done by the tentacle to increase for each time it attacks. But generally, it dies after the second Nightmarish Fury, which means this never really gets to levels that are problematic. What I will say is you generally want to use Rated Sleeper here for the good damage reflection, because when you have something attacking really fast, it means it's going to reflect a whole bunch of damage on it. So, I mean, when else are you going to use it, really? And it's all physical damage, so just stack Iron Fur, and you're pretty much good to go. The only other thing to tank in this encounter is called a Horror. Basically, it's early on in the encounter. In both phase ones, Il'gynoth will summon this big ad that needs to be tanked. It's, again, pretty meaningless. The only thing it does that you care about is something called an Eye of Fate, which is basically a laser, and does 2 million shadow damage. So you obviously want to have Mark Reversal up for it. But other than that, you just swap on 2 Eyes of Fate. So one person takes 2, swap. One other person takes 2, swap. Other than that, you have to move it periodically, but it doesn't do anything else. It melees, but doesn't melee hard. And there's virtually no danger of dying, as long as you're not being stupid about Eyes of Fate. So, yeah, that's basically it. The only other ability you sort of have to worry about is called Cursed Blood. When you're inside the eye, so in the actual heart of the tree attacking the heart, there'll be 2 or 3 sets of bloods that go out. These are just debuffs. You'll have a big circle around you. Basically, you need to spread out so that your circle doesn't no one else is inside your circle, so that nobody's overlapping and takes extra damage. As far as it's not completely harmless to you, it's more so making sure that no one else in the raid dies. And that's the final mechanic, and otherwise the encounter just repeats itself and is incredibly boring. For talents, you primarily want to focus on damage and utility here, because there's no danger of dying, and damage is going to be the only thing that really holds you back in any sort of measurable way. So that means you end up taking Blood Frenzy or Brambles because there's no damage, so Bristling Fur isn't really going to get you anywhere. Plus, you can't die, so why would you take Bristling Fur? On the flip side, there's barely anything to tank, so Brambles isn't really going to get you much in terms of damage, but Blood, again, you don't really need the Rage because nothing hurts. So the first level 15 talent barely even matters. You definitely take Guttural Roars here in order to help transitions from inside the heart to outside. You can either take Balance Affinity in order to help on cleave damage, or you can take Feral Affinity to help cat weaving on both the Horror and the heart. Either way, doesn't really matter too much. Definitely take Typhoon though, because there can be situations where positioning Bloods is important, and having a way to move them around is really good, so take Typhoon over Bash. Next, you want to take Galactic Guardian just for the AoE damage. You don't need survival benefit, and you might as well take the AoE damage over Survival of the Fittest. There might be some benefit to taking Incarnation just for burst damage on the heart. I've never really tried it, because it hasn't really been a problem, but it might be something you want to look into. Take Guardian of the Loon, because why not? Earth Warden's not going to do anything for you, and the trivial the DPS increase from Survival of the Fittest isn't worth it. And then take Rend and Tear because you don't need burst AoE damage. Pulverize isn't going to compare in this kind of fight, which just leaves Rend and Tear. There's no real Guardian specific stuff to this fight. As a tank, it's just unbelievably boring. The most important thing is just timing Mark Reversal for Eyes of Fate so you don't die. Otherwise, this fight is unbelievably trivial, and you'll probably just fall asleep halfway through it, or there's a danger of that anyway. But either way, good luck, and hope you make it through.
One more Corruptor. Alright, Bloods to the boss.
You just come to orange.
Yeah, sorry, it was like, didn't want to run through the raid.
Well, it's gonna drop anyways, so.
Kill these Bloods when they get here.
I'm frozen again.
Or.
You said war.
Horror.
Nope.
Horror.
Death glares.
It's not for you, it's for me.
Alright, Tentacles.
Got it?
Jesus.
Calm down,
Sarah. I like it.
I'm just, it's so
You're
I don't have
antsy.
to pay attention to you. It's not because they're dying.
Do these Bloods and then get back on the horror. Actually, no. Corruptor's on this other side.
You staying out, Marigan?
Nope, I can't. I don't have any mana.
Alright,
I'll
get
stay.
these Bloods to the boss.
I'll stay.
Okay. So I can probably solo the corruptions.
Whoa, corrupted tentacles.
Pay attention to things.
That was exciting.
What were you saying, Ghost, about soloing
Look,
those?
I was not ready for that set to come out.